This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Being with us today, Jamie, Jeff, and I, as we come to you from the First United Bank studio. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. 97.3 Elf on the Shelf would be fun. Maybe call him Chuck. That doesn't seem like a compliment. Did you do the Elf on the Shelf with the kids when they were younger?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you still have the elf that you used for the shelf?
Our elf is he's moved.
He's moved?
Yes, he's now an elf in a classroom.
Oh, an elf in a classroom. Okay. Does that help with the children?
I think the kindergartners like it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think the kindergartners are too young for the education game. I'm not sure what the minimum is for going on that field trip to United Supermarkets Arena today. I think it's second grade. I think it's like maybe it might be third through fifth, somewhere around those lines. They seem to look younger and littler every year. I just know that there'll be a big buzz today because they'll be yelling and screaming for no reason but other than to be yelling and screaming because they're excited to be there, which is good. Oftentimes they cheer when another team hits a basket.
They're just having a good time no matter what happens.
Yeah, right. You take on Lamar today, by the way. Other games in the Big 12 from last night, just one other besides Tech and Oral Roberts. TCU beat South Alabama 58-49. Tonight in the Big 12, Kansas State entertains Drake. Drake is 9-0. This is the Wildcat Classic. And then Utah entertains Florida A&M tonight. So that's what you've got tonight as far as Big 12 hoops are concerned. Let me ask you this, just as a kind of a follow-up to the bowl stuff. What would be your number, like if you were the commissioner of college football and you said, I declare, and didn't have any input from anybody else, but you had the power to say, I declare. How many playoff teams would you put in there?
I think I'm at 16.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever consider going to 32 and just revamping the whole bowl system and using some of those bowls as maybe second round games? Because here's where I would be at 32, and I would say you'd have 16 home games. The first round games would be at home for the team that had the higher seed, and then the second round would be whether it's your traditional bowls or your kind of your mid-major minor bowls, because you'd have obviously 8 games there, and then your final 4 bowls, your next round for your 4, I'd go orange, cotton, sugar, and rose, and then for the national championship game, I'd just create a national championship game.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think I like 16 just because I like it to feel like, hey, these are the really elite teams.
I understand. I understand.
But I like your theory too. That's a good one.
And I think as we're going down this road here of trying to get additional money and trying to find additional money to fund everything, because all of a sudden now everybody's $20 million short, which is amazing. It's amazing from a business standpoint. Just think about the amount of money that comes into athletic departments at the Power 4 level, and they're all going to say, "Man, we are broke. We're just scratching it together." And I get it, but there's hardly any business that you could look at it and go, "We're going to take X percentage of your income, and we're going to immediately say that is just going to be dispersed elsewhere. What you were counting on previously is now going to be dispersed elsewhere, and you have $20 million that's coming out of every athletic department to be shared with the athletes.
Yeah, any business would come to a point where they're like, hey, we got to figure out how we can incur this cost and have it not affect the company. That's what college athletic departments are doing right now.
They're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah, because however many millions they were making before, they had plans for those.
Yes.
And so how do we make up for the $20 million? I get it. I think any company would be the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and Tech's going to rob Peter to pay Paul a little bit. I'm sure that plenty of schools are going to be doing this because the university is going to fund at a global level the athletic department, at least initially, with some money to help them get over that hump, with the $20 million. So it's going to $14 million is going to come from just the university.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, and they're going to give that's an article that I read in the HA yesterday, that they're going to, I don't know all the specifics, so if I'm wrong a little bit on the fact, but my understanding is from what I read that the university is going to give whatever, some money to the athletics department. Somebody asked this, at 32 teams, would you do away with the conference games? No, I would use the conference title games as an automatic qualifier, just like we do with college basketball. But I certainly wouldn't say, hey, Big 12 or hey, SEC or hey, Big 10, you're going to be seeded 1, 2, 3, or 4. I would go to the college basketball and college baseball model of, well, just because you got the automatic bid doesn't mean that you got, a 1 seed or a 2 seed, or, you would be seeded accordingly. Because at some point in time, somebody's going to win a college conference title game that isn't necessarily the team that was ranked the highest or the number one team in that particular conference.
Okay, so hang on a minute. Now you got me doing some math in my head. 12 regular season games. Conference championship game. Making the 32. Then you go 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1.
Yeah.
You're adding 8 games of that you're adding half a season. Granted, it's only 2 teams to make the championship game, but you're adding 8 games? Have I got that math right?
32, 16.
32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, championship game.
You're adding 6 games.
You're adding 7 for the championship game.
No.
For the teams that are going all the way through, you're adding 7 games after the regular season.
When there's a 64-team NCAA tournament.
Right, we're talking about football.
I understand, but when there's a 64-team basketball bracket, it's 6 games.
I think you're adding one onto the end there, Jay.
Yeah,
you're counting 32 and 16.
Yeah.
32 to 16 is 1 game. 16 to 8 is 2 games. 8 to 4 is 3 games. 4 to 2 is 3 games. 2 to 1, 4 games. 2 to 1 is 5 games.
Yeah, it's 5 games. Yeah. So, I'm adding 5 games. Life's tough. Get a helmet.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is December the 17th, 2024. Here is Jeff McGuire.
Another big day today.
Okay, good.
Coming up in history.
Okay, good.
We got to get there first, though. 1944, National Football League Championship took place at the Polo Grounds in New York City. Green Bay Packers beat the New York Giants 14-7 for their 6th and final league title under longtime coach Curly Lambeau. 1958, Ted Lindsay becomes the highest scoring left wing in NHL history, passing Ariel Jolt, no way I got that right, who retired with 270 goals. He scores twice and adds an assist in the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2 win over the Boston Bruins at Chicago Stadium.
Hockey is one of those sports that have a deep appreciation for what they do, and it's one of those sports that I just have never been able to kind of totally get all the, strategy and things like that. Like when you say left wing, you might as well.
Very similar to a basketball left wing.
Okay, I would have assumed. I would have assumed that, but if you would have said, "Hey, tell me where that guy is on the rink," I'm clueless.
1983, in the 352nd NHL game, in his 352nd NHL game, Wayne Gretzky scores a goal and 5 assists in an 8-1 rout of the Quebec. There's no way I'm getting this right. Quebec
Canucks?
Nordiques. No way I've ever heard that before. To record his 800th point and 500th assist He averages 2.27 points and 1.4 assists per game to start his career.
All right, so you've got to
Nordeeks.
Nordeeks. Yes.
Nordeeks.
Jeff, you have to do a better job of realizing you can't say it before you.
Sure.
Okay. And you just say for Quebec.
I should have done just Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I screwed up there.
There's millions of stories that I look at. I'm like, I can't pronounce that name, so I just say, they had 3 players in double figures, and I don't mention their names.
Nope. There's
just do it just figure that out ahead of time, and then just say for Quebec. Yeah.
1991.
TJ right here. OJT.
1991 NBA's most lopsided game. Cleveland beats Miami 148-80.
Yeesh.
2014 Texas Tech coach Tubby Smith said he joked with the Red Raiders before the game against South Carolina State, telling them he didn't want his blood pressure to rise. Well, hard to find anything troubling in their 101-39 home win against South Carolina State.
Wow, you talk about playing a team with a pulse. That's not much fun, Jamie.
Or a lack of one.
Yeah.
2022 Minnesota Vikings recover from a 33-0 halftime deficit to beat the Indianapolis Colts 39-36 in overtime at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the biggest comeback in NFL history.
Yikes.
Happy National Maple Syrup Day.
Okay.
You're not a fan.
No. If I'm putting, I don't have a problem with the maple syrup. No, not at all. I'm just thinking, like, what I was thinking is there a specific brand that you care for? Like, if you were to say, I want
Log Cabin.
Yeah, that's where I
go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
That's what I think is in my pantry right now. Is Log Cabin.
Growing up, we used to get it not from a store. People who actually
really,
so
wow.
that would be my favorite.
I bet you that was
straight from the tree and all that good stuff.
I bet you that was really good stuff, wasn't it?
It was good.
Yeah,
that's cheating. Happy birthday today, Pope Francis is 88, Sarah Paulson 50, Manny Pacquiao 46, Eugene Levy 78, Buddy Hield 32, Chase Utley 46, and Chris Matthews is 79.
Buddy Hield's a name we have not heard very much of.
Well, you should call him and wish him a happy birthday today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. More so Buddy the Elf.
That too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
Mm-hmm.
So, yesterday we talked about Boston Tea Party.
Mm-hmm.
It was also the anniversary of something pretty historical.
Yesterday?
Uh-huh. Because yesterday was the last day in history in 1903 where there would not be powered flight by man. Because 2 guys outside of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, make their first flight in the Wright Flyer. That would be Orville and Wilbur. They flew 120 feet on its inaugural powered flight. My favorite stat of the entire thing, of the first flight with the Wright Brothers, I should say first powered flight by the Wright Brothers. It's not the 120 feet for how far they flew. It's not the horsepower of the engines that it made. It's not the fact that it flew less than the Spruce Goose's wingspan. It's that in 1903, we had our first flight. And in 1969, we landed on the moon. Now, 2 world wars and a Cold War really helped speed that up, but no flight to landing on the moon in 63 years.
It's pretty impressive. No doubt.
It's this day in sports history.
All right, this day in sports history. Thank you for that, Jeff. Somebody says this log cabin syrup is not maple syrup, by the way. Yes?
Okay.
Well, I mean, sure looks like maple syrup to me when it comes out of the bottle. Marquis says log cabin microwavable bottle. Who knew?
I did. It's got like a... Okay. There's 2 different bottles. No. There's 2 different bottles. There's the long skinny one, which is the one I normally get. Mm-hmm. And then there's a short squatty one that's got like a handle on it that's specifically made so you can grab it after it's been in the microwave.
Okay.
It's more expensive. I never get it. That's why I know it exists.
Monty says this, Chuck, a 32-team plan would have a 1 seed playing a 32 seed, and those games would be awful. Somebody else responds, no more than in the NCAA basketball tournament. It would also allow for possible upsets. That's kind of how I saw it.
My point is that
I think basketball is way more conditioned for the possibility of upsets than we would see in football.
Maybe so.
I don't think it would bring that many upsets in that first round.
Okay.
My point in bringing up the games earlier, if you're adding 5 games to the schedule, you're basically adding half a season to what these guys are already doing. That'd be adding 20 games to a basketball schedule for the tournament.
Yeah, the comparison of the percentage of the season, if you 5 to 12, is much, much larger than what is basketball 6, right, Chuck?
Yeah.
6 to 32 or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's major difference.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, the wear and tear that football puts on those guys' bodies.
Yeah, the 38 versus the 32, and then the 17 or 18 versus 12.
Even the pros have that many, right?
Yeah, and here is a point. Texas high school football players do it, so why can't colleges? The level of competition and the brutality of it is much different from college football than high school football.
They're also not playing 12 regular season games.
Only playing 10.
They're playing 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not ever going to go back. You're not ever going to have less than 12 home football games. In fact, there's probably more of a likelihood that you're going to increase that to 13.
This just adds to my point.
Yeah.
I mean, you're extending. That's why I don't think the 32 makes sense.
Yeah, the likelihood of getting to 32 is more than it's probably not even a pipe dream. I think going to 16 is a pretty high level, and then maybe even 20, where you would have some first round buys. That might be that. But one thing's for sure, they've got to figure out a way to generate more revenue. And the only way that you're going to generate more revenue is to put more, quote, relevant games out there, whether it's home games, which I think you're going to see more of. I think all these schools that get a home game, the schools that didn't get a home game in this opening round of this college football playoff are going to be jelly, jelly, jelly.
And the other thing is that I worry about is that it won't be just trying to generate more revenue. It'll be trying to find ways to cut costs
in other sports too,
and that'll come at the expense of other sports, not football and basketball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
On Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Okay, so at this point of the season, we still have a few NFL games to go, and we're a couple of weeks away from a Tech Bowl game, and also the college football playoffs. Are you, in order of your level of excitement? I know Tech's going to be one, but would two be more excited about the college football playoffs or the NFL playoffs, and what could be a special season for somebody?
After the Red Raider Bowl game, I would say the college football playoff. I mean, I think partly because it's new a little bit, partly because it feels kind of, I don't want to say wide open, but I feel like there's a lot of teams that I think are good enough to win this thing.
Okay.
So, there's not that many teams in there that I despise the thought of them winning.
Okay.
Winning the whole thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's the college football playoff at this point.
Who would you despise the most to?
Texas.
Okay. That was low hanging fruit. I kind of had forgotten about them. Everybody has made. I say everybody. A good number of people have made predictions with regard to the college football playoffs. You can go to doubletsportsnetwork.com to see and analyze everybody's picks. And of course, it's going to change as we go through. But this is just for the start of it. So was there any game that was really hard for you to pick where you went, this guy's going to win, but I really don't want this team to win?
Honestly, Chuck, I've made those picks last week. I don't even remember who I picked.
You did pick Texas to beat Arizona State. There were only 3 of us that picked Arizona State to beat Texas, and maybe that was more based on distaste than it was. But I thought, when I picked Arizona State to win over Texas, I thought that would be if that happens. I mean, that's Arizona's that's takes a little work to get there because Texas has to beat Clemson, which I think Clemson could win
over Texas.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. I would still favor the Longhorns.
Jeff picked Clemson, so did Clint, and so did Josh. But again, I think was that more about not liking Texas?
When all things are even, I go with a better coach. Dabo's the better coach.
Okay.
I think these two teams match up very well together with regards to their talent level. So I'm picking the better coach. Doesn't mean that Texas can't win. I got nothing but respect for the Longhorns football team this year. That's a solid football team. Mm-hmm. They would wipe the floor with the Red Raiders. But I'm going with a better coach.
Okay. The overall consensus is that Oregon's going to win the national championship. So we know what that means. Oregon's not going to win the national championship.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were 13 people, 11 selected Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it tells me, is that it's going to be somebody other than Oregon, even though I picked Oregon. So anyway, you can go and analyze everybody's picks. Go to doubleTSportsNetwork.com and check that out.
I like some of the quotes that you see in here, like this one from Robert Bro.
Okay.
You tell me which game it is. I have the least interest in this game. This was a coin flip for me because I care so little.
Texas,
I think
Arizona
blank
State?
wins, but I reiterate, who cares?
Is that the Indiana-Penn State game?
No, it's the Indiana-Notre Dame game.
Notre Dame. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
It's SMU. The other one I thought is it SMU Indiana? Yeah. It's those teams in there.
I would hate for Indiana to win it all. That would shock me. You know what? I probably wouldn't hate it. I would just have to admit how wrong I am. Okay, but I don't have anything against Indiana. Mm-hmm. I would hate for SMU to win it. I would hate for Texas to win it.
Okay.
I don't particularly like Ryan Day. I don't want him to win it.
Mm-hmm. His face is so red. I mean, he needs to put something on that.
You were really caught up in that.
I am caught up in that. I mean, it's just like either you're drinking a ton or you don't know how to put sunscreen on your face.
I don't want Boise State to win it. That would annoy me. Yeah, I guess so. What's that, like 4 teams I really don't want to win?
Yeah.
Don't want to win. The rest
I don't want Arizona State to win it.
I would. That's who I would root for.
Why don't you want them to win it?
Because we beat them.
Okay.
You said you don't want them to win. I do want. If I could pick one, I would pick Arizona State.
Yeah. No. Because we beat them, and had you gotten your act together, you'd have been in the Big 12 championship game instead of them.
Yeah.
But you didn't get your act together. Yeah. I don't want Arizona to win it. I don't want Texas to win it. I don't want Tennessee to win it. I don't want Ohio State to win it. If Oregon won it, they've been winning all season, so that's kind of why I went with them.
I really don't want Oregon to win either. Because
I don't want Notre Dame to win.
Because when I think Oregon, I think Nike.
Yeah, and so
I'm rooting against Nike.
Some of our guys here have really in-depth, statements, and like fact-filled things, and then others say,
which is just like the shows.
Yeah, Oregon by 100, or what I said, quack quack, they win it all, and Phil Knight doesn't have to give them any more money.
I'm confused. Why doesn't he have to give them any more money?
Because he said he's going to give them all the money in the world to win a national championship, and once they win it, he doesn't have to give them any more.
Oh,
that's not probably likely, but that was my instant analysis of that. But anyway, Bullfighter says that Collier wants Boise State to win it all. Surely not, right?
No. You got to put 2 and 2 together there, Chuck. Who does Collier root for?
Oh, he roots for Oklahoma, right? The Statue of Liberty play and the whole thing there from a number of years ago. Yeah. Somebody says this: out of all the teams in, I would prefer Boise to win it all, just because it would show that you don't have to be a big Power 4 team to win it all. Hey, we're a big Power 4 team. To me, if Arizona State wins, or if Indiana were to win, it would show you that you've got some parity in college football, and that in the right circumstance, anybody can win.
Man, if Indiana won it, they'd be talking all day long about, well, this was a team that didn't even make the championship game in the Big Ten, and they're still winning it. That's how powerful the Big Ten is. I'll pass on that.
Well, if the Big Ten or the SEC wins, they're going to, of course, beat their chest, But that's just
Indiana wins it, they'll get their first quality win of the season.
Of course, Oregon isn't going to win the Natty. The winner will be Oregon. Oh, that's right. Well, there'll be some people that will say that. That say Oregon as opposed to Oregon. Okay. 7:24 this morning. Jamie's question of the day is next. We'll have the Frisco Bowl on the air for you tonight on 100.7 The Score. That'll be West Virginia and Memphis. They're all fired up in Morgantown, man. They got Rich Rod back, bringing the band back together. Of course, you got the comments like, "Oh, all the former players, man, come on aboard. I don't care who you played for. Come on aboard. You're a Mountaineer forever." There's two things that I, get tired of. Once a blank, always a blank, and blank nation, because everybody has one. It just seems like we should come up with something different.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. Last night you got another cornerback out of the transfer portal. Amir Boyd Matthews committed to the Red Raiders from UTEP. He's the third corner, fourth overall defensive back that you've committed in this class, so that's good news. Also, yesterday you found out that was it yesterday or no? I'm sorry, late Sunday you found out Will Jados.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Big offensive lineman from Miami, Ohio, committed to the class as opposed to a small offensive lineman. Anyway, your class has continued to be ranked very high by those in the know.
Your portal class, right?
Yes, correct. Please tell me today who is the portal addition that you're the most excited about, or you feel like is maybe the most important to the mix.
Okay. I'm going to go to the Double T Sports Network because that's where we are keeping track as a group of who is coming and who is going. I guess the thing that I'm overall excited about is that you've created an awful lot of noise in the college football community about what you're doing with the portal. Okay, the fact that you're landing guys that it appears other people want. Okay, and that you're filling some needs, whether it's cornerback or offensive line or, the defensive tackles and, edge rushers and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. I'm just going to pick a name out of the hat here. This is Hunter Zambrano. He's one of the top offensive tackles in the market. Sounds like an NFL deal, right? He's number 24 in the best available ranks. And he's a Red Raider now. So I'm just going to go with, because I think we've made it quite clear that you need offensive linemen and edge rushers. So I'll go with him. Jeff?
It's a good answer. I like that answer. It would probably be my second pick for this. But if I were to ask you for the Red Raider football team, if I took away Taj Brooks And we know Baron Morton's coming back next year, and we have Will Hammond coming back next year, so we don't have to worry about quarterback position. Who's the biggest hole you got to replace on your offensive side of the football? That's your wide receiver position.
Josh Kelly.
So I'm going Mississippi State quarterback, not Mississippi State quarterback, next one down. I'm going with Virgil because wide receiver 6'4", had 891 yards last year. That's the kind of wide receiver production that you need that can help build you forward. I will take that to the bank with a wide receiver. That, with as much as we throw here, that's 1,000-yard receiver next year. And he's been in a Power 4 conference.
All right, I personally think a bigger need than wide receiver, a bigger need than offensive line is defensive linemen who can stop the run and get to the quarterback. And so Skylar Gill-Howard, the young man from Northern Illinois, is the guy that I'm the most excited about. This is a guy that had 8 tackles for a loss last year, 5 sacks. I just feel like, you have his PFF grade was 11th nationally among defensive tackles. I mean, as bad as we've talked so much about your offensive line not being great, mm-hmm. I don't think they were bad. I just don't think they were great. Mm-hmm. I think at times your inability to get pressure on the quarterback was really bad, and your defense, as we know, was really bad at times. I think you got to get better on defense, so the defensive lineman is the guy that I'm going with. So Skylar Gill-Howard is my pick.
All right. Well,
I hope they add another. There's rumors out there that there's a defensive lineman from Georgia possibly in the mix. I don't have any idea whether that's true or not. Just gonna.
Is he disgruntled there as a Bulldog?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's the University of Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. So we'll see.
The one thing that does concern me on a couple of these portal guys is the fact that, well, at least one was injured all of last year.
I think there's 2 of them that missed significant time last year. Yeah,
and that concerns me a little bit. But
yeah,
I'm sure that they've had plenty of physicals and things like that.
Sure.
That the docs have looked at them.
If you were adding to what you have right now, what do you think is the biggest need that's still left out there?
Defensive line.
Yeah, I would say, edge rusher.
Yeah, that's really where I was going to go.
Outside linebacker or whatever. Just you got to get somebody to get after the quarterback. Yeah.
Somebody that people fear.
Somebody that can plug holes. Somebody can get the quarterback. I need defensive linemen. I'll take 8 of them.
I mean, you're going to have to cut some guys off your roster then.
You know what? I'm okay with that if we got 8 defensive linemen and go get the quarterback.
And it'd be great to have somebody that had a little bit more length in their eligibility too. That was really good.
We'll do it again next year.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, it's like, when sometimes these baseball trades, well, he's still controllable by the club for another 2 or 3 years or whatever the number.
Well, none of these guys are controllable, so let's get the guys that have the experience.
My point would be that they're not just it's not just their last year of eligibility. Like, that you would at least have the opportunity to retain them. And at some point in time, we're going to see multi-year agreements.
At some point.
But the judge has to, I think, sign off on everything for everything to still be like this whole $20 million deal. The revenue pool, or the split. What you can dole out. None of that happens until the judge signs off on it, which is, I believe, April the 7th. So, whether it's roster limits or you're kind of it's like, what the heck are they waiting on? I mean, I guess they have to think. Do you think
judge is what they're waiting on? You just told us.
I know they're
listening.
We're waiting on the judge, but what is the judge waiting on? I mean, how much more do you have to read and think about it?
He has other cases he's got to deal with. This isn't his only case.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio. And again, look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can go to Double T 97.3.com for that, or the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open at 806-771-0973. Okay. Here's this may be an odd question for you, but I don't necessarily think so. You know, we talk very little about recruiting per se, and then on National Signing Day we talk about the different kids that have been signed, the needs that you've been filled, and who they picked you over others, and kind of try to project down the line as coaches do, in terms of when's this guy going to be productive and things along those lines. I guess with the portal guys that are coming in, you have a little bit more of a track record, but it's not like you're getting guys from Power 4 schools. You're still projecting them to be able to play at a next level as well. I mean, I wonder what the step is between like a Miami of Ohio and a Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak. You got a guy from Mississippi State as a defensive back. So
that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't say. I mean, we can't say none.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's a fair question, but I mean, obviously, you're seeing these guys rated very highly in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as guys that. So you're not the only one that thinks that they can play.
Right.
I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, there is a step there, and then the other thing too is how many times have we seen a baseball guy or an NFL guy go from one team to the next, and they get a little extra money, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything or saying that this is going to be the case, but it is going to be interesting to see these college athletes who, for many, I mean, most of us, it's more than real money of what they're getting, and then how they handle that aspect of it in terms of keeping their hunger, and working and working out and being in shape and all those kinds of things. Not that, again, not saying that they are going to rest on their laurels, so to speak, or get fat and happy, but there's some human nature aspect of it too, that some of these guys that are going to move from one school to the next, who are going to get more money than they've ever had in their life, it does change you a little bit, I would think. And it'll be interesting to see how that's handled, and somebody will do a doctoral study on that, and this will be
that poor soul.
It'll be like, hey, this guy was doing just great at Toledo, and all of a sudden he goes to Texas and they put $1 million in his pocket and he goes to hell in a handbag.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what's inside of you. Mm-hmm. This maybe helps create the avenue towards either taking yourself to a next level positive or taking yourself to a next level negative. Probably was going to happen either way. Mm-hmm. If you are a guy that gets the money and then just says, yeah, I don't care to work anymore. I wonder more about when seasons start to go bad and guys are heavily compensated, that it's easier for them to give in then. I don't worry as much about guys, okay, well, they just gave me this deal, so I don't have to work anymore. Because I think guys are still thinking, hey, man, they paid me this much money. I must be pretty good. I got a chance to get to the next level here. I got a chance to play in the NFL, or I got a chance to make more money next year.
You hope, right?
I got a chance to transfer to a different school next year.
You hope,
and they pay me even more.
Yeah.
So
that'd be great. That'd be great. That'd be a great problem to have.
I just think that in some of these years, where like if you look at Oklahoma State, this past season when it started to go bad, it just, and they had some injuries. Don't get me wrong, but it just felt like some of those guys were. It's not our year. Well, I still got my money. I mean, I'm good.
This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Most of these players you're referring to went to smaller schools first for immediate playing time. They had most of them offers from bigger schools out of high school they can play. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just curious about the human nature, mental, just kind of, you kind of find out what you're made of, so to speak. All of those things. I just think it'll be interesting to see how it happens. I mean, it's fascinating to me when I look at, rosters and even like looking at this Lamar team that's going to play the Lady Raiders today. I mean, you have some players that are on their third school. It's like, I mean, we're talking Lamar. They're on their third school. And it's not uncommon. I mean, we've got a couple players that you're on their
heck. You seen in the high school, Chuck. You see in the high schools around here.
Yeah, well, they're not happy with the coach, or not happy with the playing time, or not happy with the style of play, or not happy with whatever.
Or just I'm not guaranteed to start, or they're not going to put me on the varsity as a freshman, so I'm going to go to some other school. I'm going to head to a private school, or I'm going to go to a smaller school where I can play as a freshman because, gosh, the horror of playing on a JV team or a freshman team or
having
something.
To kind of
work for it and earn your time.
Right. No, it's just I don't know. It's just it is going to be interesting to see how this goes. But at any rate, you're going to see more and more of this, and then it'll be interesting too to see with college basketball the percentages of somebody staying with you their whole 4 years or even 3. I mean, and if they're any good, 2. It's I guess it's about the environment. It's about how much you're paying them. It's about the coach. It's about how the team's playing. It's about the chemistry that you have. Are you winning? All those kinds of things that lead to somebody deciding to transfer. And
that's a sad part to me because I do think that coaches matter. Okay, as far as helping to recruit guys. I feel like Joey McGuire matters. I feel like Grant McCaslin or Tim Tadlock, I feel like they matter. But when you are left wondering, is this guy just here because we just offered him the most? Okay? When you are left wondering that, it downplays a little bit what we feel about our coaches, that they're good recruiters and that they're people that can sell the program and all that. And I feel like there's just, I don't know. I mean, when you got outside sources saying, yep, I'm going to bring this guy in. Yep, I'm going to bring this guy in. And it's not Joey McGuire saying it. It downplays his role, which I hate to see. I really hate to see because we want to give those guys credit. We want to respect them for what they do. But that leaves you questioning, is it about them or is it just about the money? And I mean, for me personally, here's where it gets down to it. I want to feel like the athletes at Texas Tech were just like me, that they love Texas Tech and that's why they're here. And clearly that's not the case.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.